There is a crisis playing out in the dry, sandy Kalahari woodlands. When Botswana became a poacher-free zone, the news quickly spread from one elephant family to another, and a great migration occurred. No one knows how they communicate, but they most certainly do. A determined family of caring people is caught in the middle of the drama.
The elephants came into our hearts, and soon we realized that we need to give water to these animals.
The water shortage is the most severe in living memory, the worst drought in over 40 years.
And look at that elephant. No water to drink.
They're all gonna die.
60% of Africa's elephants now live in Botswana.
Oh my God. There's not enough water for them. So they started breaking everything. We can't fix it immediately. We're stuck in the middle of nowhere. Nearest town is 250 kilometers away. So this one is completely gone. Not good.
We need the clients to pay for the water. And we need the water to give the elephants. So it's not easy.
The tourists typically only stay a few days, yet they're often unaware that these same elephants are in a fight for their lives.
We would rather switch off the water in the chalets for the guests, rather give the elephants. Because you can skip a night or two without showering, but they can't go a day without drinking water. I remember Mari asking me when we started pumping water, you want the trees, you want the elephants? So I looked at her and said, I want the elephants.
They are beautiful things. I love them. I do love them. Even if they break everything, I do love them.
But all I can say is, do not try this at home.
Hey there! Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's Nature Connection show every fourth Friday, along with our guest co-host, fine art nature photographer Margot-Carrera. We talk about the environment, we talk about wildlife, we talk about climate change, nature, trees, botany, anything to do with, Mother Nature. We're here. And maybe today's show might not even air on the fourth Friday because we've got a lot going on when it comes to the Nature Connection show. So we're kind of doubling up because there's just so much to share with you all. And so thank you for tuning in. Today's special guest is award-winning documentary filmmaker Louise Hogarth. And we're so excited to have her join us on the show to talk about her film, Elephant Refugees, A Fight to Survive When Water Runs Dry. It is out now worldwide on digital platforms. I encourage you to go to her website. It's dolfilms.org. She does so much in film, really, raising awareness and action, because we can become aware, but if we just stay aware and not do anything, what's the point? So she does inspire action. So welcome to the show, Louise. How are you?
I'm very well, Lisa. Thank you for having me on the show.
All three of us are very excited. I know our audience is going to be excited to connect with you too. But we've all watched Elephant Refugees. Nancy and I, this is very dear to us, having lived in Africa for, I don't know, is it the majority of our life, Nancy? I don't know.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
At least
we're just getting younger. It really hit
Yes.
home. We've also lived through a drought in South Africa. We've lived through and in Kenya, and drought is hitting Margot's neighborhood in San Diego, right, Margot? It's getting scary for California.
It is, especially Central California, where people get a lot of the food that you see on your table. So yeah,
Wow.
because they're drawing it from Northern California, and Northern California is running out. So it's quite a controversy here.
Mm. There's a lot going on in regards to water, but
Yes.
climate change I don't think is helping. And so this is what I find very number one, the story is very a family running Elephant Sands. It's a resort out in Botswana in the Kalahari section, and the Kalahari Desert is amazing, man. But this is a very unique situation this family found themselves in, with all these elephants coming out to the resort for water because of the hunting ban at the time in Botswana, which I believe has now been overturned. In fact, Louise, we actually did radio shows about Botswana and their ban on hunting.
Uh-huh.
And we've done shows in regards to the Safari Club and what they do, and saying, hey, let's kill an elephant to save elephants. So, this family was in, I mean, I think this has got to be one of the most unique positions of coexistence, right? But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be as unique in the next 10 to 20 years. What would you say?
Mm-hmm. Well, when I was shooting there, it was a very unique situation. The president of Botswana, Ian Khama, had outlawed all legalized hunting, all caging of animals. You couldn't cage it. You couldn't cage a dog. He was quite a revolutionary. And the elephants, somehow, they communicate. We don't know how. Somehow they found out about the ban on hunting. And all of the countries that surround Botswana, 60% of Africa's elephants fled to Botswana for safety. And they, in front of the bush camp, there was an ancient pan there. And in the old days, before there were so many, climate change had created so many droughts, the water would seep up from underground, and the elephants had the memory to go there. So they did go, and that's when the family started trying to provide water at great cost to themselves. I mean, all the money they took in from the bush camp went to buy water because they had to buy it. They had to truck it in, to a location near the camp, Elephant Sands, but not all the way in because the truck would get stuck. And they started providing water. And it's the story of the heroics of the family and their struggle, and the elephants, who could be very entertaining. They had a lot of regulars. The elephants, would turn on the taps, as you saw, and flush the toilet to get water. And it was as if someone had spread, fairy dust over that camp. There was never any threats. There was never the elephants seemed to know that people were trying to help them. But now, as you said, the situation has changed. So now Elephant Sands is 16,000 hectares, and the surrounding area that surrounds them is 1.1 million hectares, and that's all hunting now. I think, like you mentioned, the Safari Club, they're despicable. I think it's about $80,000, and and the thing is, the hunting season's all year round. It's not like deer season when the deer all disappear because they know it's hunting season for 2 months. Yeah, so now it's all year round. Now the elephants are coming into the camp. They're very stressed. There's not that same feeling. They're stressed. They're anxious, and I kind of worry if something's going to happen with one of the tourists that's there, because in the past you were very safe, but now it's a different story. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, wow. I mean, when you just think about, it just, even in the film, he was talking about, just how much a hunter will pay in, right? And it's like, but it's like they're trying so hard to do the right thing of having the collective support through tourism, environmental tourism. And, just as a family, it's like, okay, people are complaining if they don't have the swimming pool. So then they need it. They're in that it's like a quagmire of like, it's between a rock and a hard place, hey, have a pool and make the visitors happy, but the elephants are going to take, a swim and have fun in the pool, but they're going to drink the water really. But the guests, and then if you don't have the water, then you get, guests that are like, well, we wanted a pool. And so it's interesting to me that some of the guests aren't quite getting it while they're there. And then you see ones that truly get it,
Right.
it just makes it, I mean, it's right in your face. I mean, I remember, Nancy, remember in the drought in South Africa when we first moved there, I remember even, I think we were staying in a, I can't remember where we were staying. And it was like a hotel when we first got there. And you actually had to pay for a bath plug. And so they would know how much water there was. The actual bathtub was painted where you were allowed to put the water, what
To
line you
fill it
were
up too. Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't allowed
Really?
to have,
Never heard of
you were, and showers were
Mhm.
out because
Wow.
showers,
Showers were
you
out.
could keep going, you had to take a
Mhm.
bath. And even in South Africa, I
Really?
mean, I remember people would take one bath after another in the same bath water. Not saying
Mhm.
that's the most hygienic thing, but when water is
Family
short,
members.
yeah. And
What year was that?
oh my God, that
Oh,
Do
was
you remember when
gosh.
that was?
that was going to be the mid 80s,
Oh,
around the
in the
mid 80s.
80s.
Because we left
Huh.
Kenya, I think in 82 or 83.
Then we lived in England, but it was Pretoria
Yeah,
it was
then
Pretoria when we first got to Pretoria that
Yeah,
we
I was
had that.
in South Africa in the mid 80s. Yeah, I never heard of that. That's interesting.
Mm.
It was
And
that one
showers use a lot more water? I didn't know that.
Well, I think in hotels they were trying to monitor it better. So it was at that point you really took a bath, and it was like that one situation, and after that we didn't experience it. So I don't know if it was coming out of a
Huh.
drought. I was what, maybe
Yeah.
10, 11. I don't know how old I was
Mhm.
or young I was, but not that young anymore,
That's
for sure. But yeah, but the drought thing happens, and it's so real in Africa, and it's
It was a
even
long drought.
talking
Long
about
drought.
boreholes.
Years.
That's something for people. I mean, one of my best friends, her dad, that's what he does, is boreholes, and
Really?
that's changing.
Oh,
Yeah.
where?
That's like,
In
I was
Africa?
like, yeah, in South Africa. He's
Mhm.
in I'm gonna go yaw now. Like
Yeah.
my accent is going right back. That's what he does is boreholes, but they're trying to
Oh.
do boreholes with using solar now, and I don't know, they're doing all kinds of interesting things, but
Yes,
it's
we have solar boreholes in
oh
Elephant Sound. Yeah.
wow, that's
We actually raise money. I raise money, and they raise some money for 7 boreholes. And originally they weren't solar powered, but then we converted them to solar. But now, out of the 7, 4 of them are in the hunting area. So we stopped supporting them. You have to maintain them, because it's just the hunters just go there and sit by the borehole and wait for a big elephant to come by. We still
that
have
sucks.
3. Yeah, we have 3 that we're supporting, and we're using solar, and we're trying to raise money to expand get more batteries, because they each support about 800 elephants a day, but we could double that if we had a bigger battery, so we could have it running 24 hours a day.
Oh, so please, how can people help? That's the thing about your documentaries. Like I'm like, what can we do to help? Because I know the drought goes in and out. I remember, I mean, it wasn't a couple years ago, Cape Town was like about to run out of water completely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Day 0.
Yeah.
Day 0. Yeah.
What can we do?
You can go to my website, which is dollfilms.org, and donate money. You could donate directly to Elephant Sands, but that's difficult because it's hard to you have to have a foreign currency, or it's complicated.
Yeah.
And on my website, I am a nonprofit, so you get you get a deduction, and we can improve each borehole for about $12,000. That's about the cost, and we have 3. We'd like to put up a couple more, but it's, the COVID 2-year ban on tourism in Botswana, it really, really killed all the resources that they have. Ben and Mari spend all their money just keeping that place going, because as you've seen in the movie, in the documentary, if they don't get water, they will flatten everything. They're just so desperate. They will just flatten the buildings. They have in the past flattened them, and you have to rebuild. And they're in the middle of nowhere, so it's hard to get new supplies, to get a new toilet or hot water tank, new thatcher. Yeah.
But it's not just the elephants.
A huge struggle.
It's not just the elephants that the water is supporting, and that's something you showed in the film too. Hippos, zebras. I mean, the bird life. I mean, that's
Everybody.
the ecosystem.
Right.
Yeah. So what's happening?
Yeah.
So are they
hyena.
now with this new hunting back? God, with this, I still don't understand how
I don't get it.
killing saves animals. That
Money.
doesn't make sense to me. But
Well, it's like zoos. Zoos always talk about conservation, and they don't know anything about conservation. They're all about the money and their huge salaries that they get.
Well,
and it's the same thing with Botswana.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well,
Yeah.
there some zoos are trying, which I'm loving seeing them do more rescue work, and
Yes.
that I'm like all for. Breeding. I mean, I remember we did a show when they were importing elephants from Swaziland to the Ohio Zoo
Yeah.
here, and that just anyway.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Dears.
Disgusting.
It
it's
is so.
I mean, zoos are outdated. They were in the 1800s when people had no way to see an animal. Now you can go to Nat Geo, Discovery, any channel you want, and see them up close and personal. You don't need to go to a zoo and see them swaying their heads back and forth, the elephants, because they're so stressed living in a little tiny area. And I hate zoos.
Well, I'm going to go back to Adam Roberts. He worked with Born Free USA for many years and was on our show for many years. And that ties back to Nancy's history too. Nancy worked with Joy Adamson, Born Free, Elsa the Lion. That's for those who remember her. She worked with her tracking wildlife in Kenya. That's how we ended up there. And then Joy got murdered, and then a whole other story started.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Adam was talking. I remember on a show we were talking about this whole thing. And I think zoos they've had a lot of backlash over the years, especially, like the whole SeaWorld thing and everything, but there are some really trying in some ways. And so we should support the good stuff and nail them on the bad stuff.
Okay.
But I see them go into the rescue part. I'm all for it, but let's be sanctuaries.
Well, the sanctuaries, the ones that give them wide open space, the animals wide open spaces.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be entertainment. But going to your point, but we are able to see things on TV and see your documentary and National Geographic, David Attenborough, right? If he was talking about how we saved whales at one point, and people who had never been to the coast sent money and spread awareness for saving whales. And yet they'd never actually seen a whale in real life. And that was a massive campaign globally. I think that was in the 80s, right? 80s too. Maybe we should go back to the 80s.
Yeah.
They did. So I think there's something to that about, where's our consciousness at? And when you watch this documentary, and I really encourage everyone, so it's on all digital platforms, go check it out. Get it, watch it. You will see just how beautiful and sensitive elephants are. You will fall in love and understand elephants, but you'll also understand how desperate these animals are. And it's, of course, in a drought, but these droughts aren't going away. So, Louise, I wanted to touch on that with you. So now they're threatened by hunting, future droughts. And so are all of these elephants basically hanging out at the lodge, because if they step over those hectares into another piece of land, they could get shot? Is that where the situation is for them?
Well, they can't hang out at the lodge because, as you see in the opening shot, it shows that drone shot of all the green, and then it becomes brown. And that's because all the elephants that have come have knocked down all the trees and eaten all the vegetation. And that's why we put up the boreholes far away to try to give them water points that there was food available, because they come to the bush camp for the water, but then they've got to walk 40 miles to try and find some food. So that's a really difficult proposal. There's nothing to eat there. They've eaten it all.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, they're trying to survive, so that makes sense. They're going to eat. If it's green, it's got moisture, they're going to eat. And they should. Quite frankly, I get it from a lot. Yeah, I mean, as we would be doing the same thing if we were in their predicament.
Absolutely.
With elephants being alive, because they're one of the big five that people always want to see in Africa. What I don't understand is if you're going to kill them, that's destructive tourism. It's endangering. It's not cool. I don't see that really bringing economic value to the country in regards to hiring people, I think there's more money in environmental tourism, what you say, Louise, going over there and seeing, that if.
Well, I think the fat cats that run Botswana are making a lot of money.
Mhm.
Sure, there's more money in environmental tourism that trickles down to a lot of employees, but when you're making $80,000 per elephant, I mean,
Yeah.
who's getting that? It's not trickling
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's going
so I
in
think
one
that's the
person's.
motivation.
That's the
Yeah.
point. That's the key. And everyone goes, oh, it's doing this for conservation, but it's staying there and not really trickling down like when we go to a place and you actually, to me, if you're supporting Elephant Sands, then you're supporting them with the water, and that's a direct thing. And everyone, again, dolfilms.org is the place. I want to go, Margot, did you have any questions or comments from watching the film?
Just that I'm right there with you with environmentalism and tourists, because imagine if they charged $80,000 to take a photograph of a an elephant, or a video like you produced is just absolutely amazing, because it really shows the spirit of the animal and the true animal, what the animal is like in its true natural habitat. It had to come out of that into this unusual situation, yet that animal understood that that family was trying to help them, and they never tried to hurt any of those people that were trying to help them. So I think by going out and thinking you got to kill everything is just not the level of consciousness that we should be at anymore. I think we should be above that, and we should try to allow the animals to be the beautiful creatures that they are, just like the whales, the beautiful creatures they are. So that's my input.
I don't really, the hunting thing. If you're hunting to feed yourself, that's one thing. I don't know too many people who eat elephant meat. I don't know how many. I know some do, but not over here, not in Europe.
No.
Well, but they say when the Safari Club always says then the animal, the elephant meat will go to the tribe. Like a tribe doesn't know how to kill food, sorry, but it's
I don't know. I just feel like, how do you keep track of it all, the balance of it? How many people are out there hunting? So issuing permits might do something. Yeah, they pay their big bucks. Then they kill their elephant, and I don't know, what do they do with it then? Take the head home and hang it on a wall somewhere and say, look what I did?
Then you have to have park police, to look at permits.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
Louise, do you see that when you're out there, there's poaching, which is you have, forces going out, but then.
Yeah, there is some good news. I mean, there are parts of the Botswana government that are into conservation. They have done some good things. And Ben Moeller is meeting with the Minister of Wildlife next week, and they're going to try to establish a 2-mile wide elephant corridor, which has been done in, I think, up in other places in Africa, including in Botswana. And it takes the elephants or any wildlife about 6 months to a year to figure out that's a safe zone. So it would be 2 miles wide, and that would give them access to Elephant Sand. So that's a good possibility that's going to happen. And I try to make documentaries that inspire people, that are hopeful, that makes you want to get out there and help. And I think the Moeller family is very inspirational, and the elephants were very inspirational. And that's I don't want to just make downer films that you just feel so depressed you want to go have a double martini. I hope that you experienced that with the film, that there was some inspiring. And
That's why I said the first thing was like, what can we do? That what can we do?
Yeah, that's right. You did say that. Yes.
Yeah, it's the same thing. What can we do? And then you see like how that, understanding elephants. I mean, they are just the most magical and maternal, and they're
very
special
sensitive.
beings.
They're very sensitive.
Yes, very sensitive and very altruistic. I've witnessed their altruism. They will save other animals. Yeah, I did a little animated video of a story that I was told by a guide of an elephant and her baby. They were up on top of a hill, and down next to the shore, a hippo had come out to have her baby because they don't have them in the water. And a hyena came up and was trying to drag the baby away by the ear. And the mother elephant came down and charged the hyena, and he ran off. And the guide told me that a year later he saw them because he tore off the hippo's ear, and he saw the little baby that he'd grown, of course, quite a bit.
Wow.
And I've heard of other stories of elephant altruism. I just saw a video where this elephant, same kind of a thing. There were hyenas stalking a lion who was injured, and there were tourists there watching. And this elephant came out of nowhere, a bull elephant, not a female, and chased the hyenas. So it's amazing how altruistic they are.
Even in the zoos, I read a few months ago, 3-4 months ago, about an elephant in a zoo, and black buck, kind of antelope, were also in the same cage. There's a little waterfall, and one of the black buck had slipped on a slippery rock and hurt itself, and it was about to drown. And the elephant went and tapped on the zookeeper's shoulder because he's raking leaves in there, and he apparently didn't see. But the elephant kept bothering the zookeeper until he saw that this antelope is drowning. So, I mean,
wow, that's really interesting.
How's
so
that?
intelligent.
Yeah. I mean, so when you look at that and you think, it's only, to me, it's the same. It's like killing a human.
They're
I
so
agree.
intelligent.
Yeah, I agree.
What, Louise, tell us a little bit about what led you into, elephants. I know you've been up in Pilanesberg and other documentaries, but like, it seems that you just came back from South Africa, so it's not ending for you with the elephants, right? And the animals.
No, it's not ending with me. No, originally I did a Kickstarter here in the U.S. for a documentary called The Elephants Go to Heaven. And my intention was to work with an animal communicator in South Africa, which I did. I went to South Africa and I was working with her and we were shooting. And we heard about elephant sand, and we went there to get B-roll and did interviews with her and with the elephants. And she had to go back to Cape Town to work, and I stayed. And that's when Benny started showing up. Benny's the elephant that came for help. He had the injured foot. And he started coming and showing us his foot. And then after I was there a while, I started to realize this was quite a desperate situation. It wasn't as idyllic as it first appeared with just a lot of elephants. So I decided to switch gears and make a documentary about what was happening at Elephant Sands. And that's how that happened. I just switched. Wow. Yeah. And I had, my original impetus was I had made a little video. It's on my YouTube channel at the Seattle Zoo with the 3 elephants that are there or were there. And I took an elephant communicator an animal communicator. And I really believe in that they do communicate. It's been proven to me over and over. And we were there, and the orangutan said, "Oh, don't worry about us." It was so funny. He told the elephant communicator, "We're okay. Go to the elephants. They're in desperate trouble." And we did go, and they were in desperate trouble. And it was a sad, sad interview with a very sad outcome.
Oh, I remember something about them. Yeah.
They sold them to the Oklahoma Zoo, and they died. And they kept impregnating the female over and over and over. And she just told the communicator, "I don't want to have a baby." And she did have a baby. "I didn't want this baby to be brought up in a zoo." And it was tragic. And that was my original impetus to try to highlight the sentient beings that elephants are. Do you remember Nosy, that elephant?
That sounds familiar.
Remember the Nosy? There's a story of an elephant that was a little circus elephant here. A tiny circus, but a big elephant. Well, anyway, that was a happy story. I had an animal communicator speak to Nosy too. She was one of 200 elephants that were kidnapped from Zimbabwe in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But this is the thing about how they're, I even think about how these, the ones that were taken like from Swaziland, right? You're putting them on a plane. What do you think these wild beings are feeling like? Even what we're doing to our wild horses in this country is just abominable about how we're splitting up the families. And it's just like, we can do this. We're going to pay so-and-so over here. So it's like legal wildlife trafficking. Someone has the purple stamp, someone has the green, and there we go. And that's, so it's a very, we can do things. And I think that's the thing is documentaries. God, I thank God every day about documentaries because the film doesn't lie. It's like,
That's right.
and it was so honest and pure. Your filmmaking is amazing. I mean, just even all the footage and the just being able to watch the wildlife is inspiring. Just like, it's magnificent, and just even, the Muller family, just to hear their just raw, real, there's no frills about it. This is the real deal. It's so authentic. And I think that's such an important thing about what you're doing with your films. So is that what led you to become a nonprofit too, is to, be able to make these movies to get people to take action? And it's cool that you're able to take funds and help. I mean, that's novel. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've kind of made that, I integrated that into my filmmaking. When I did Angels in the Dust, which is in Pilanesberg, I started a bracelet campaign. You can see it there on my website. Bloomingdale sold them for a long time. And I support two orphanages with those proceeds. And I employed, at one time I was employing 80 women in South Africa. And now we're starting a sugar bean farm, and employing all women. And the profits are going to go to helping the elephants from the sugar bean farm. So it helps the women get employment, and it helps the elephants get funding for the water. And that's a new project I started. So I do try to integrate some kind of a social action campaign that people can get involved with and make a difference.
This is awesome. This is awesome. I love this. And you're empowering women too, which in Africa, that needs to happen. That's a big deal.
That's so true.
And in other countries too, but in our country, let's not go there.
And everywhere.
we really
funny.
do. I know. I'm like, okay, here. Yeah. We still need to do that. Where are we right now in regards to statistics for elephants? I was reading in some of the information you send out in media-wise that an elephant is killed every 15 minutes in Africa. Is that still where we're at?
It's probably increased with Botswana legalizing the hunting, because they're killing, I think it's 350 to 400 elephants a year. Yeah, so that statistic was when elephants were a bit more protected. I don't know what the updated one is, but they're the gardeners of Africa. They support so many other species, as you know. And without them, it's going to affect the ecosystem in a huge way. And so many other species are dependent on them. Oh, and you know what's something new that's happening now? It's really become, and we had one elephant in Elephant Sands. They're being born without tusks. They're tuskless.
What?
Wow.
I guess, we had a tuskless elephant there. That was her name. Her name was Toothless. And that's
right.
they need their tusks. They use them for digging. They use them to protect themselves. And the hunters, of course, they kill the best and the best genetic stuff, the biggest tusk, the strongest bull. So the gene pool is being destroyed as well. I mean, there's so many repercussions from this.
This is interesting because we've done a couple interviews recently, and everyone will get them out there. I think we're going to have to just do Nature Connection every week just now. Like, seriously, because we've got a time. I mean, it's like we can't ignore. We have deadlines, man. With what's going on with climate change. But from some of the interviews we've done with some of the biologists, they're really talking about how animals are adapting and changing according to what their situation is, and it is like this protective thing. So that's interesting about being born without tusks, that their genes are going
more and more.
Dude, you don't want the tusk. You're going to have to find a different way to eat, Oh, that's
wow.
Yeah.
And then
they
what
use
happens?
the tusk for so much.
Yeah.
I mean, they use it to dig. It's like, they need them. Yes, they do need them.
I love that you're talking about them being the gardeners, because I think I want people to understand that, because you see them in the trees and they do take down tree limbs and stuff, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. So can you touch on that a little bit more? Because I think, this is something we always talk about, is the web of life. You kill one species, you've now killed 10, kind of thing. And that includes the habitat, right?
Right. Yeah, like you say, they take down the leaves, they eat the leaves, then they walk 40 miles, and then they go to the bathroom, and then they seeds in the poop. And so as they move along through the different areas, they are dispensing those seeds. And they also make paths through the jungle, although Botswana doesn't. That part of Botswana doesn't have jungle, but up in other areas they do. And they just, there's many species dependent on the elephant.
Mm. And so now, we've got and you can still go to the resort, right, everyone? So you want to check that out too.
Yes, they would love to
go
see
there.
you.
Yeah,
yes,
and
not expensive.
Check it out. It's a real deal when you go there, and things can happen and go bump in the middle of the night. But even when she was talking, the one lady was talking about how they, there's tent sites, and how the elephants will walk through the tent sites but never touch the tents.
Oh.
Like just
Right.
they're like,
yeah,
they're dainty.
Oh.
They are cognizant of
Tiptoe.
human.
Yes.
It's amazing to me.
And their feet are huge. They used to make stools from their feet, and sometimes you still see them.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was so horrible.
Yeah. It was like, ugh. That's where I learned about the Safari Club International. He was walking in Kenya, walking into a dining room, and everything said we're conservationists, and everything was dead and hanging. And
That was Mount Kenya, wasn't it? That was Mount Kenya
It
Lodge?
was like,
Safari Lodge? They changed
oh
though.
man, it was like, just this is what we killed in the name of conservation.
Yeah.
Okay, hello, what's wrong with this?
Well, there's a huge
They don't
difference.
understand.
Yeah, there's a huge difference for eating from the land, right? And
Yeah.
as they say in South Africa, hunting for the pot, and that happens all throughout our country here in the States. And so there's and then there's we can be vegan too. We can we've got all these different things we can do, but we should be conscious about what we're doing. And when you're killing an elephant, I really don't understand the ego behind that, especially when animals are facing climate change. And I love the title, by the way, Elephant Refugees, because we're looking at our refugees. When we look at climate change, I always talk about this. It's like, hey, everybody's all freaked out about people leaving countries with political drama and real strife. And hey, climate change, people are having to leave islands and leave places now because of climate change, yet the bigger countries are the ones doing the most polluting. Just looking at the latest, here we are polluting the places that are clean. And when you look at Elephant Sands, that lodge is running clean compared, right, to what a lodge would do in a city.
Yeah.
So it's just, this is a weird thing that we have, but animals are migrating too. And they're moving, they're encroaching into the cities that they were always in, and we built into it. So we have this balance going on. And I think your film showed coexistence so well that it can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I hadn't thought about that, but you're absolutely right. It certainly can happen. There's a great example of it right there. Those elephants were everywhere, and nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your work. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you for...
my gosh, you come back anytime. We want to know everything that you
Lisa.
do.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for the exposure.
Oh, you bet. You bet. We can't wait for everyone to hear this and go to watch it and support you. Again, everyone, Elephant Refugees is the film. Go to dolfilms.org. It is out digitally, so you can get it on all your favorite places. And of course, we want to thank Margot for being here, co-host and supporter of the environment. You can go find out about Margot's photography. Go to CarreraFineArtGallery.com. We're here every fourth Friday and some more. So basically just keep up with us at BigBlendRadio.com or on our Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And we have a lot going on for the rest of this year and into the new year. So it's never ending. So thank you again. And ladies, thanks for joining us. Take care and let's save elephants.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies. Really appreciate the interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you.